Hello, Pauline Gallagher of the knitting class here. In this video I want to show you how to work a short row using the wrap and turn technique. So when you work a short row, you're not going to work all of your stitches, you're just going to work part way along the row, then you're going to turn your work and work back. If you're to do that, what will happen is you'll create little holes in the fabric. So one of the ways to take care of that is to use the wrap and turn technique. So I'm going to knit down to my turning stitch, which is here. Before I turn, I'm going to wrap the following stitch. To wrap the stitch, using the right hand needle, go in purlwise and slip the stitch from left to right needle. Bring the working yarn across behind the stitch. Return the stitch to the left hand needle, and then return the working yarn to where it came from. And now if you look at that stitch, there's a little piece of yarn, just a little scarf of yarn wrapped around the bottom of the stitch. So that's the wrap done. Now you just turn. So turn your work and start purling back. So I'm just going to do a few stitches here and show you how to do the wrap and turn on the purl side. So once again, we've reached our turning stitch here. We need to wrap the following stitch. And actually you do that in exactly the same way as you did the knit stitch. So with the right hand needle, go into the stitch purlwise, slip to the right hand needle, bring the working yarn behind the stitch, return the stitch to the left hand needle, and then return the working yarn to where it came from. And there we have the wrap around the bottom of the stitch. And now we're going to turn. That's wrap and turn. Now eventually you are going to knit all the way down the whole row of stitches, and on the way you will encounter the wrapped stitches, and they have to be taken care of. So to identify where the wrapped stitch is, there's two clues. So one is clearly on the knit side. You can see that little scarf wrapped around the bottom of the stitch. The other clue is that beside the wrapped stitch, the gap between it and the following stitch is a bit wider than for other stitches. So that's a good way of identifying where that wrapped stitch is, so that you can look out for it as you're knitting along the row. Okay, so I'm going to knit along and keeping an eye out for that wrapped stitch. And here it is coming up. Okay, so we've reached the wrapped stitch. To work the wrap, bring the right hand needle under the wrap and into the stitch and knit the two of them together. And what happens is the wrap falls to the purl side. And now you can go ahead and continue down the row. And when we come back on the purl side, we'll have a look at how to deal with the wrap when it's on a purl stitch. And that is when it's on a purl stitch and that purl stitch is to the wrong side of your fabric. Because what's going to happen when we work that little wrap is it is going to fall to the purl side of the fabric. So it'll be seen on the purl side, but not on the knit side. Okay, so again, let's have a look and see if we can find that stitch. And so here we go. There's a wider gap between these two stitches. And if you look at the base of that stitch, it looks like it has two little purl bumps on it. So one of those bumps is your wrap. So let's purl to that. Okay, keep an eye out. Two more stitches. Okay, so when you encounter a wrapped stitch on the purl side, you're going to use the point of your right hand needle from the knit side to pick up that strand, pick up the wrap, put it up on the left hand needle and purl the two together. And see what happens? The wrap falls to the back of the work, the purl side. So off we go and complete that row. And then we'll just have a look at the front to see how that looks. Okay, here we go. So if you have a look, you can't really tell where those wrapped stitches were. There's no hole, it's all very neat, and that's just what you want in the front of your work. So that's wrap and turn technique for working short rows. If you liked this video, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you'll hear when other new videos are being posted. Thank you.